Welcome to the War Eagle Radio Network for Talons Out Live with head coach Adam Dolan. Talons Out Live takes you in-depth and behind the scenes of the West Carroll War Eagles with stats, comments, and a breakdown of the previous game, plus a look ahead in the schedule. We'll sit down weekly with special guests, players, administration, and the coaches for a look into the locker room. This is Talons Out Live. Welcome one and all to the War Eagle Radio Network, Talons Out Live with Coach Adam Dolan. Coming to you on this Monday, September 9th. A little bit, running a little bit behind, but we all three of us had a little something that we had going on. We had to make it back from and take care of business, but we're here, ready to rock and roll, and got Adam Welch with us. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And Coach Dolan,
how are y'all?
How's your Monday treating you?
Man, it's been a pretty good day. How about y'all?
Good.
That's not too bad, not too bad. Seems like we've all kind of had a little chaos in the last couple of hours trying to get here, but I guess that's the beauty of it being remote is we can kind of pop on and come on anytime, and if folks want to watch it live, they can click on it. If not, then they can watch it in the next few hours or the next day or whatever. So it all works out. So, but we appreciate y'all jumping on here and joining in, and we'll see if we can talk a little bit more about some football. Not the score ending that we wanted from Friday night, but I'm going to tell you this: the drive, the tenacity, and the never give up out of your boys, all the coaches, even the fans. I mean, they were lit, I guess, for lack of better terms, the other night. But the drive and the tenacity that they never had, that never give up attitude, the 49-38 score, you would not have known that unless you've seen it on a sheet of paper.
It was definitely a one of those double-edged sword type issues where, a lot of people were very, what's the word I'm looking for, pleased with the effort, and that's great. We did have we had some adversity, and we talked about it going the week. It was going to be a week of adversity for our reasons inside the locker room. There was things going on with the school and our schedule, and, we ended up losing 3.5 hours of practice time that probably no one noticed, but we did because of scheduling of things. Let's just put it that way. And, that's when you lose 3.5 hours of practice during a week, that sets you back a little ways. And I thought our guys did a pretty good job through the week. We had a great Tuesday night practice. We had to come back after school or after in service and the parent-teacher conference stuff. And we had a really good Tuesday night. And Wednesday was okay, but Thursday was a lot better. So it was up and down. We had a lot of things still dealing with the weather. But our guys know this. We talked about this several different times in the scrimmages we had in the spring. There's been times in the last few years that, you get down 21-0 pretty quick. There was going to be some heads hung. There's going to be some feelings hurt. There's going to be some emotional things done. There's going to be some flags thrown. There was going to be cheap shots. There was going to be some jawing. There's going to be some complaining. There's going to be a lot of frustration because someone was beating you at this game. And, of course, we were frustrated. Of course, we could have played better. We lost the football game. We talked about that today. All the credit in the world goes to FACS. They got a really good team. We knew we were in for a fight and one of the best teams we're going to see by far this year. But we had several chances to win that football game, and we lost it. We lost the game. We did a lot of things, left a lot of plays on the field that our guys saw on film today and saw over the weekend that we wish we could have back. But the fight and effort to get it back down to almost a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and then have a chance, to even tighten it up. But, it wasn't to be. But a lot of growth, a lot of things to look at from an improvement standpoint that we did well. There hadn't been a lot of people in the last 2 years move the football and score the points on them like we were able to do. So offensively, we did a lot of good things. Defensively, a lot of things to clean up, but still early in the season. And, we're going to keep trying to improve day by day, week by week, month by month. And, that game right there is going to come back in the long run and help us down the line somewhere.
I know that you've probably looked at several spots in several areas on film. But one of those that really comes to mind for me is that punt return touchdown that they had. If it wasn't for that, and if we could have got that stopped, man, that would have come down right to the wire, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you give up a kickoff return for a touchdown 2 weeks in a row, and we've talked about it. Special teams is going to be an issue for us.
Yeah.
We got a lot of inexperienced guys having to play special teams. A lot of guys that, some of them. I mean, I'll be honest, some of them are not quite ready to play against 17 and 18-year-olds. But we're going to make the best of the situation. It was just a situation where we didn't do our jobs on that play. Credit goes to them. They had a good scheme. They blocked it up. Kid returned it, but we didn't do what we're supposed to. When it's not not how that was designed to go. But yeah, you go down and score and feel like you're okay, and then come back and they punch you in the mouth. But then again, we ended up responding. But yeah, there were several instances. The 4th down and 1 on our side of the field. We missed 2 tackles on that play. We don't take a block on correctly like we're supposed to. That probably gets stuffed, and Nigel makes the play in the backfield from the backside. We get the ball, we probably go score, and that's a 1-possession game right there in the 3rd quarter. So
Right.
a lot of plays here and there. We started both. We started both series. Our first drive in the first half, first drive in the second half ended in a 3-and-out and a fumble. That hasn't happened to us yet.
Right.
We know we run the football a lot. There's a reason why we run the football a lot. We're improving on the O-line. We got a heck of a running back. We got guys blocking on the perimeter, giving great effort. We've got a lot of good schemes. We got guys that can do multiple things, but we don't throw it a ton. So sometimes that clock's going to tick on you. You're not going to get as many possessions. We talked about it today in film. We got to make the best of our possessions. We might only be in a game where we get 8 possessions. Well, you score half of them, that's cool, but we've got to be a little bit maybe better than that. So still a lot of things that we did well. It's just, you can't beat a really good team like them playing well. You've got to play really well. And we did play well enough in certain spots. Situationally, we did not play well enough. But again, we will improve from that. We will learn from that.
All right, let me toss something different at you tonight.
Right.
Here at the end of this Talons Out Live, Adam is going to ask you about Perry County and top 3 things that you want to do. So let's back up to FACS, and I'm going to ask you 2 and 2. So give me 2 things that you feel like was, oh wow, that we did that really well. We did that awesome. That was good stuff. And then give me 2 things on the other side that, man, we're going to have to work on that this week before we go any further.
Okay. 2 things that I thought we did really well. We ran the ball. We blocked their front very well in a lot of space, a lot of times, many times. They've got a really good front. Number 60 and 66 for them are going to play college football. They're grown men. We blocked them. Our schemes were successful. We ran the ball successfully. We blocked people successfully on the perimeter and inside. So our blocking is greatly improved. And that there's a lot of reasons for that, and we can come to that later. But yes, our offensive line play is greatly improved. Our offensive line blocked a really good team, a good front, well the entire night. We played well in the interior of the defense. Looking at the film more, they got good offensive linemen, some good things, and we played them pretty well inside. It was just, of course, when it broke out to the outside, we talked about it. We're limited. We're hurting on the outside, tackling in space, setting the edge. We got to get a lot better at it, but. Those 2 things, the offensive line, defensive line, and the interior, they held up and played really well against, a good team. 2 things that definitely, we didn't do well. I said it. We didn't set the edge on the defense. We didn't set the edge against some guys that can run, and their linemen made us pay when they got out there and did some things. And they got to the perimeter. We were very, very bad on the perimeter on defense. And then, the kicking game. We almost snapped the ball over the punter's head, had to scramble and get the punt off. Didn't field the ball well on kickoff return, almost gave up some muffs on that, gave up the kick return, touchdown. We just got to get better at special teams across the board. Some young guys have got to take it more seriously. And we got to keep working it and keep working it and keep working it, and it'll get better. We're going to find a way to get it better. But those two things on each side were glaring, I think, on and the good and the bad.
All right, that's some good insight right there. Adam, let's take a look at some of those stats, and kind of before you do that, I see one that just kind of really stands out. 278 yards for Milton, and if you look, um, I mean, that kid is rocking on. I mean, you look back at he's made the West Tennessee High School Athletics um, Facebook page, and they're saying I don't know if anyone in the area or even the state can top these stats by West Carroll running back Jaden Milton. 846 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns in only 3 games. I mean, how? I guess Coach Dolan first before Adam gets into some of these stats. Like, how big is that for you, for your team, for Milton? And I mean, I know he's probably grinning from ear to ear, you know, on a lot of this stuff. I'm sure he's probably got a lot of things that he knows he needs to do better and do different. But I mean, the stats are that's pretty big for 3 games.
I mean, Jaden's played well, really, really well. I mean, stats say that, right? I don't, be honest with you, I don't think anybody in our team is very surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's got that ability. He had it last year, and he had some really good games last year. I mean, the kid ran for 1,700 yards last year. So he's not come out of nowhere. This isn't a surprise. I think the biggest thing is, at this time last year, he had a great game against Gibson County. Then the week 2 game got canceled. Then we went down there and played a good FACS team, and we didn't block them very well. And, if you're going to have a great rushing attack, it's kind of one-fold. I mean, you're going to have guys that can run the ball and they're, athletic and good at carrying football, and you got to have guys blocking for them. I think Jaden will be the first to tell you right now. He's running the football, and there's a lot of space when he gets into the line of scrimmage. And then when he gets to that space, of course, his talents kind of, take over and blend into all that, and he's able to make a really good play, a great play with his ability, and that's been awesome. Because we're limited throwing the football. We don't have a lot of skill kids. And I don't mean that as a slight. They're called skill positions for a reason. We don't have a lot of them. We don't have a lot of receivers. We don't have a lot of receivers with a lot of experience. Throwing and catching the football is going to be a focus of getting us, improving as the season goes. But, if you walk down the field and you see our offensive line for a 1A offensive line, they kind of look the part. A lot of time in the weight room. We spend a lot of time watching film. We spend a lot of time knowing how to block a lot of looks. And right now, 3 weeks in a row, people are scrambling and just throwing junk at us to try to figure out how to stop us. And kind of talked about it last week. When you do that, you'll get us once in a while, but then we'll pop a 40 or 50 or 60 one on you too, because you're going to be out of place. But, I mean, that's the backbone of our team right now is our offensive line. And I don't mind saying that. I mean, I feel really good saying that. I mean, it should be like that. I mean, he doesn't have those yards if the offensive line's not doing their job, and he knows that. But also, it's twofold. We can block it up and make it a 7 or 8 yard run, but then his help with the ability of the outside guys, our receivers, Zach Fowler and Q Patterson and Eli Travelstead and Jay Salmon, all those other guys that block on the perimeter. They're the ones with Jaden that take a 7 or 8 yard run and turn it into a 58 yard run. So we've got a lot of guys that are bought into being physical, winning their battle, blocking, fighting, scrapping, doing everything they can, because we've got to run the football successfully. I mean, if there's a week that we don't run it well, we're probably not going to win that game. So we've got to run it. We've got a lot of things that we still haven't shown that we can do in the run game that we are just scratching the surface of. And I think it's a huge collection of good things. Offensive line, perimeter blocking, Jaden being, very, very talented, doing a great job running the ball strong and fast and powerful, all those things. So, and another thing with it too, this is his second year in our system. Understanding we run a lot of inside zone, and that is not the easiest thing for a running back to do naturally sometimes. It's just not get the ball, here's the hole, run real fast and go through it. That's not how that works. He has to be able to read certain things as we're doing it in real time and kind of set some things up without, how he's going to cut off of this block and things. And when you do that, you can be very, very successful, but it takes a lot of reps. It takes hundreds to and then thousands of reps to get good at this stuff over time. last year he got better at it as the year went, and he's definitely carried that into this year. And a lot of different things we're doing on the offensive line and the offense.
We look at some of the stats in the game, Coach. We talked about Milton's 22 carries for 278 yards. Mason Taylor, 4 carries for 29 yards. Ben Pruitt, 6 carries for 14 yards. Let's talk about Pruitt a little bit, throwing the football, 8 out of 11 for 94 yards. Receiving yards, Zach Fowler, 6 catches for 84 yards. Mason Taylor, 1 catch for 9 yards. And you had Jaden Milton had a catch for 1 yard. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the start compared to the last 2 weeks. First 2 weeks playing Gibson County and Harding Academy. He was off to really quick first half. A little different story in this game. Down 21-0. I'm showing here at the 10:49 mark of the second quarter early. Talk about the slow start. Do you attribute it, Coach, to any overconfidence at all? And if not, do you just attribute it to a little bit of what they were showing you on offense as far as FACS, and just talk a little bit about that?
Our mistakes. I mean, we're running the ball well, and Jaden breaks out and fumbles the football.
Yeah,
we can't do it. As much praise as we give him and stuff, he's been awesome with ball security. He got wrapped up. A kid made a great play and clawed it out like he was probably taught to do in practice. He's a good player. Clawed it out. Those things happen. You turn the football over that early in the game, that's a huge momentum swing. They get the ball right there around midfield. They made us pay for it. Second drive, we made mistakes we made a mistake on the offensive line. What talked about in film today. Turned the guy free, shouldn't have. Had the punt. Bad snap, got the punt off. They got field position again. Good team made you pay. Like we messed up. FACS took advantage of it, but we messed up. So, those are things like that happen. But then we got going, and that was part of we quit messing up a lot of things. So, we can't have a lot of penalties and turnovers and stuff like that. We're not super explosive in the passing game to recover from those things. So I credit them being good and having good players and good coaching. And then, we just made some errors. And sometimes that happens. But when we kind of took control of that a little bit and kept that at a minimum, we were able to fight back and make it really interesting.
Talk about how your team responded. I thought second half, totally different story as far as the second half goes, I thought. You look the Fowler, Pruitt to Fowler 10-yard touchdown pass at the 3:56 mark of the third quarter that cut it to 35-32. You had a Jaden Milton also, but before that, late second quarter, 50-yard touchdown run. Talk about Pruitt and what Zach has brought to the table at wide receiver and the type of weapon that he is bringing at that position.
Well, first and foremost, that touchdown was set up by about 6 plays before that. And, formationally on offense, the average fan sometimes doesn't probably pay attention to where all the pieces are at times. We use a lot of different formations and for reasons. And a lot of that is to try to find some weaknesses in some areas. And we ran a formation, which is, I don't want to call it funky, but it's a little different. And, Zach ran to the sideline and told me that, their corner, their defensive back was playing it very odd. Let's just say that. And we could take advantage of it. And we he literally said, hey, I can run this, well, we call it Greenville out, but I can run this out right here and, get by him. And sure enough, we looked at it right there on the iPad, and he had it leveraged just right. And we worked it down the field, and we got it. We were able to get it because it was something we don't really do in that situation in that way. And we figured out a way to call it how we needed to. And Ben got his feet right, threw a great ball. Zach was right where he was supposed to be. We caught it and we scored. That's junior, senior, or junior to sophomore, guys learning how to play football at that level, doing mental things. That's the thing that the mentality of our guys, learning football, learning ball IQ, knowing, being invested in what is really football, like the mental side of it. And that's helping us out. Zach is, really, really good at that side of it. And we got a lot of guys that are. But, for us to be able to go out there and do that on the fly is showing that our IQ is improving. We're understanding situational football better. And, his versatility, Zach brings a lot of versatility out there. He lines up a lot of different spots. Ben can too. You look around, Ben goes and plays the receiver for us, and we do some different things. And that's kind of stuff we're trying to evolve into, being very flexible, because with our numbers, we have to be very flexible. And our guys with the attitudes, being able to, I've been places and coached some kids that were great quarterbacks, and going against them every day. If our offense coordinator, head coach, would have looked at him and said, "Hey, you know what? You're going to play more receiver this week. You're not going to play quarterback." I don't know how well that would have went for some of those guys. We got guys that are they're doing what it takes. Ben, Zach, they both can play quarterback. They both can go out there and play receiver and catch footballs and run routes and block people and just do what's best for the football team. And, talk to them a lot about, don't care about the name of your position. We need football players. And I wish we had more kids in society like that. That would make it a lot more fun to coach, where kids just want to play football because they love to play football. But versatility, their attitudes, their instincts, those are all qualities that Zach and Ben are definitely bringing forward to us. Especially
I got kind of a odd question for you in reference to whenever Fowler come over there to you and, kind of told you what he could do and kind of change directions. Let's get behind the scenes, like either your facial expression or what's the look that you give one of the other coaches of like, nice. That, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, get an eyebrow raise or a nice little grin. What was that? What was it like right after he walked away from you that he didn't see that, you're like, hey man, I like this.
Well, the first thing we did was, we've got coaches in other spots looking at certain things on the field. We're all, contrary to what people think, we just don't watch the football. We're all watching different positions and what's going on and how they're playing us and how they're adjusting and how we got to adjust. And it's a cat and mouse game for sure. And it's a lot of stuff going on. But, first thing we did was, the next play we lined up kind of the same. And I wanted to step back and see it. And it's kind of just like, he did it once. Let's make sure he's doing it again before we overreact to it. That's right. Kind of the first thing. Like, that's awesome. I'm glad Zach brought it to us because – and we got other kids that, Elijah Darnes does a great job of that on the O-line, letting me know how they're lined up. And literally before a play, he'll give me sometimes a signal of what they're in, and I can just right there know what we need to call. And that's just ball IQ and instincts. And we've got some guys that are developing that, and it's coming fast, and that's great. But no, I mean, I talked to Coach Brad King right there on the headset, and I asked him to check the iPad, and he went back and saw the last play, and he was like, yeah, he's right. He's really far inside leverage. We got to take advantage of that. And we had ways of doing that, and that, down at the end, scoring that touchdown was the way it worked out. But, sometimes kids do some things, and they don't realize that they did it. We just had to make sure that the kid was playing it that way every time. That way we didn't do something or call a play, and he was not like we expected, and then that's when danger arises when that happens, especially in the passing game. But no, I wish we had more of that. And there's kids that do that, and that shows how much they're bought in. And because, paying attention to all those little details, those are the little things that win you games. And not just win you games, they win you titles. Hopefully we get more of that going on. But we've had lots of those little instances. Sometimes they don't just always result in a touchdown, but, that one was great by him. And I'm sure, and there'll be other things that come up, and he'll be able to do the same thing. And we get it on defense from time to time too. It's just you got to make sure that those guys, what they saw, that the team continues to do what the player saw.
Right.
Coach, defensively, Marion Patterson with 8 tackles, Jace Hammett with 5 tackles, and Zach Hames with 4 tackles. Talk about their importance going forward, not only in this game, but going forward toward the rest of the season defensively, in part 1 of my question. Part 2, FACS, a slew of backs with Miller, J.J. Davis, you had Shank, you had Najah Davis. They had 3 or 4 different backs, arsenal of backs. Talk about how tough that was defensively with the different weapons that they possessed?
Number one, it's not good. It's not a good sign when a defensive back is leading you in tackles. Let's just say that. Especially when he plays corner. No offense, love Q, but he shouldn't be making 8 tackles a game. That's not good. We got a lot of guys balled in on defense. It's just we just had a tough time. You got to give more credit. It's actually more credit than them than we didn't do some things right. Our situation on defense right now, and it's not going to get better right now. We got to figure out a way to make it better. Is we have a hard time replicating what the other team is going to give us because of our limitations in numbers. And we just don't get a good way of practicing what the other team's offense can do. And we have to be, we're there. Like mentally, we're further along mentally with our group of guys than we've been the last 2 years. So it's not that we're busting a lot of assignments or messing up a lot of things mentally or not being right before the snap. It's just in some spots we are physically still getting better and getting better at our fundamentals and knowing how to do things. And right now, we're asking some guys that never had played some positions that are really tough and really hard in our system to learn how to do it in just a couple weeks. And, it doesn't look terrible against a Gibson County. But when the quality of a team like FACS rolls out there and their offense is 100% an offense that can exploit it, it gets magnified. That's why it's never as bad as it looks, and it's never as good as it looks. It's somewhere in the middle. And we'll improve. We'll get better through it. It's just Jace and those guys making tackles. We've got to have our 2 inside linebackers. Like I said, Jason and Haynes made a lot of tackles. When it was in the box, we were pretty good. When we were able to keep it inside, we were fine. Our D-line is pretty good too. But we've just got to find a way. And it ain't just our outside linebackers' fault or our safeties' fault or corners. It's not those guys' fault. It's just when you don't get a lot of reps, a lot of that stuff during the week, the speed of it throws you for a loop, and you have to get settled down to adjust to it. And we did as the game went on. As far as their running backs, the biggest thing is when you have a lot of guys that are capable of carrying the football and they're getting 4 to 8 carries apiece and doing things, well, they're pretty fresh then. And just put it out there. There's a lot of guys that were out there the other night that were really good that we didn't see last year. They're from another school. I know they got numerous kids that's come from Arlington and Bartlett to come play for them. And
wow.
So that's a challenge. And those are good challenges to see this time of year. It'll help us prepare down the road. But they have a lot of good players. Their scheme is good. They do a great job of coaching their scheme on offense. You can tell that. It's not a scheme that you see every day. Their offensive linemen, especially number 60 and 66, I keep harping on those guys. They were tremendously athletic and big guys doing lots of things really well. So we won't see an offensive line like that for a while. And that was good to see. We got film of it, but there's also film of us doing some really things against it when we were doing our job correctly. And it just comes back to doing your job correctly. Sometimes defense is about eye discipline. We didn't have really good eye discipline spots. You're trying to take on a block and your eyes are peeking for the football. You've got to do one thing first. You got to beat the block, then do what you got to do with the football. It's just not go find the football. The teams that do that on defense end up getting a lot of points scored on them. And the other night, we did a whole lot of looking for the football, and we got a lot of points scored on us. We got to, get back to making sure our details are correctly. Eye placement, stance and start, being able to play with good leverage, all those things that we talked about before the season, we got to get back to, and we will.
FACS was 9 out of 15 throwing the football for 118 yards. Talk a little bit about your defensive line. Was you able to get pressure on the quarterback like you had hoped, or was it something that just you thought was going to be an issue possibly at times?
Their passing game is not very normal. There's a lot of boots, meaning the quarterback is moving out of the pocket. We didn't defend that part of the game too badly. Be honest with you, sometimes the quarterback gets rid of the ball before you can do much.
Yeah.
Before you can get to him. Sometimes they got 6 or 7 protecting, you got 4 rushing. Not going to win that every time. Sometimes you just got to, the rush makes the coverage better and vice versa. We didn't cover terribly. I wouldn't say we covered well, but I think somewhere in the middle. again, they had some good players in spots, and they got us on a couple things, but they were very rare. Do you see a shotgun wing T team that's really run based, able to throw RPOs where the quarterback is, can hand it off to somebody, but he's reading one of our linebackers while he's doing it, and then able to pull it out of the running back's belly and throw it real quick. I mean,
Yeah,
did that very well. You don't see that. We don't see that very much. So tough to replicate it. It all goes hand in hand. The more they're really good at stuff, and the harder we can't replicate it. So it makes it tough. But then again, 49 points on the scoreboard. We gave them the football. 3 different times inside our side of the field, and they had a kick return for a touchdown. That's a whole lot of us setting them up for success, where we've got to do a better job not doing that through offense and special teams. So we have to play way better complementary football. We've got to find a way not to let them get the ball on the other side of the field because our punt not being very good or our kickoff team not being very good right now. We've got to get them to at least go at least 60 or 70 yards instead of 35 or 40 yards. When that happens, the points will go down, and our success will, keep coming as long as we can do that. But I think it goes hand in hand. Their backs very skilled. Their quarterback, I don't know if you saw him. He was a monster of a kid, a big kid. I'm not no offense, but he's not any reason why that offense goes. The running backs, they can interchange. Those 2 guards, 60 and 66, is why that offense goes. They are really, really, really good. And their coach, I was very, very impressed by how they played on the offensive line.
Talk about a little bit, last question I got about this region going forward. Are you hoping these 3 games will get you ready for regional play here? You've got Perry County coming up Friday night, and this region, you've got McKenzie, McEwen, Brewston, and others. So talk a little bit about going forward, and hopefully how this will get you maybe tested for the region.
Definitely. We've seen some, especially FACS. Hardin Academy had some good players in some spots. I got some good athletes in some spots that helped us, I'm sure. Gibson County in ways, their offense is kind of, right there at you, kind of what some that we see. And then playing Dresden twice, seeing TCA, seeing Lake County, we've seen good competition. That's why we scrimmage those guys. That's why we want to jamboree against those guys. I'm not going to say names, but it'd be easy to go down the road, 30, 40 minutes and play someone who's not going to give us any competition. We could pat ourselves on the back and feel good. That's not going to help you. It's not, in the long run, it's not going to help you. So I'm glad that we got to see the people we did. And our region is going to be better this year. Last year we were very old. McKenzie, of course, played the state title game, but we were very old. We were the 2 seed, and Houston County and McEwen were very young. Now they're old.
Now they're here.
Yeah, now we're young. Perry County is improving still, and then Brewston has improved from last year. This region is much improved. I feel like this region, and then this side of the state too, but this region, the improvement of it, it's going to make all of us a little bit better in the long run. A lot of teams that mimic each other, especially McEwen and Houston County and us. 3 teams that want to be very physical in the box, solid offense and defensive line play, want to be able to run the football, let you stop the run. Very, very similar in the approach. Brewston throws it a little bit more, but they're much improved too. Perry County, like when y'all see it Friday night, I told the boys today, if it rains a whole lot and that's a muddy game and bad weather, their offense is the absolute beautiful thing for it. I mean, they get foot to foot on the offensive line with 6 or 7 big boys up there, and they snap it, and they get everybody running, in the phone booth. Okay. And they're just hoping to get 3 and 4 yards, and their best defense is them being on the field for 15 plays at a time. There's not a whole lot of possessions in that game. That game is, as much as we run it and they run it, game is going to get over pretty quick. So you got to maximize your possession. So Perry County can give you fits if you allow them to. I think this region's better. I think it's going to be a physical thing each week. There could be there could be a lot of scenarios at the end of the season where you've got some ties, 2, 3 through 5, 6, maybe. You could flip a coin some nights and a team could beat another team, and it could come off of an injury. An injury or two to some of these teams could hurt you. So I think it's going to be competitive. Perry County this week going down there, long bus ride, first true away game since the season. No disrespect, meaning this is definitely a winnable game for us. We need to go down there and execute right off we get off the bus and take care of business. But it could be a game that could be interesting on the scoreboard, just because if we allow them to grind it out and not do what we're supposed to on defense. And then who knows, what we'll see from them on offense. I'm sorry, when we're on offense, they're on defense. Last year they jumped around and did a lot of strange or unorthodox things that it took us to halftime to figure out. And once we figured it out, we came out and took care of business. But this week is, get back on track kind of mindset. Go out there and, if you got a little frustration for losing a game, we need to put it out on the Vikings of Perry County. So, and then next week we got homecoming against a really much improved Houston County team. So, region game. I mean, we got 4 of them in a row, so it's here, and that's why you play those teams like you mentioned, like who we've seen, and like I alluded to with the preseason. There's a reason, and now it's here, and I think we'll see the dividends of that. I really do.
Look, talk about real quick going into Perry County, and you mentioned it very briefly. We're going to probably be faced with the remnants of Francine, and how do you plan for that? Whether you're Perry County or whether you're West Carroll, how do you prepare for something like that? I mean, they're talking like some serious rain coming in between Wednesday and Saturday, and it's looking like it's going to hit right here Friday and Friday afternoon.
Well, I'm looking at it right now for Linden, and that's the thing. Like, how do you prepare for that? I've seen people prepare differently for that. I've seen people, the old 5-gallon bucket full of water and dunk the football in the water and snap the ball 100 times and throw and catch when the ball's waterlogged and all that. Truth of the matter is the ball never gets that wet in the game. We'll put plenty of ball bags out there and ball dry, and we'll make sure our ball boys know what we're doing. And as coaches, we'll take care of it. And the balls will be taken care of enough. And honestly, it's, don't freak out about it. You're going to wear the same cleats. You're going to secure the football hopefully the same way. You might take your gloves off and wear an extra towel maybe. I don't know. I've never cared and put too much stock on it being wet. As far as offense and all that, the ball being wet's not a big concern to me. The ground being really, really wet is the concern to me, because that's when your footing comes into account. And not on offense. It's in coverage. When you know where you're going on offense, you can shuttle your weight down differently and break and accordingly. When you're on defense, you got to react to it. And that's when you slip and fall and you give up big plays in the passing game. So I don't think it's going to be a big concern, because, they don't throw it very much. We throw it more than they do. I think we could throw it more. I don't know. I don't think you can overthink about it. I mean, they got to play in it too. I don't think it's supposed to be raining during the game. If it's wet, that's fine. I mean, I don't know. It's just like it's 110 degrees. You got to go practice in the heat sometimes. Like you just got to go do it. You got to go play in the wet. So it's whatever. Like,
well, I tell you what,
I
have
never overthink it. It's just
right.
Rains, mud, whatever. Go play.
Well, I tell you what, while you were talking, I have worked very, very fast. Let me pull this up right here. This is the latest from Reed Timmer, which is an extreme meteorologist out of Oklahoma. And it looks a little bit better. It's looking like over the Boot Hill of Missouri, possibly by 1 p.m. on Friday. So you never know. Might just be come through and it just be a wet field, and we won't have to actually play in the rain and deal with that. So I tried to work fast on that and get that email to me to pull that up there. But, maybe we won't even have to worry about it. Maybe that's a little bit better prediction for it.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't rain, that's fine. The biggest problem with the rain is not really the kids. It's like the technology stuff,
Right.
headsets, filming,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. The game has evolved, and it's such a blessing to have all that kind of stuff. We film 2 different angles. The ends. I don't even really watch the side angle very much when I'm breaking down film or grading my guys or scouting the other team and or our film. Like I show no side clips to the offensive linemen when I meet with and coach them. Like they get the end zone view. So that being able to have that kind of stuff is unbelievably great at teaching. And that's the stuff where the rain affects it the most. Like the other night, we had an issue with the headsets because it got a little bit wet, but we'll fix that. That's the stuff that becomes a pain is just all your technology and your materials and stuff getting wet, not so much the footballs or the players and stuff.
Last question, Coach. Top 3 keys to victory for Friday night.
Don't give up a kickoff return for a touchdown. That would be nice. I say that in jest a little bit, but special teams in general, all across the board, if the ball's wet, we talked about the range a second ago.
It could be,
just, doing what we're supposed to do in the kicking game. Just don't lose the game. Just don't have to win it. Don't lose it. Just go out there and do what you're supposed to do in the phases of the kicking game. That's number 1. We do that, we'll be fine. Number 2, setting a hard edge on the defense, making sure the ball stays inside of us. If we can figure out, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes they're going to get the ball outside of you because that's what they're trying to do, and you're going to live with that some. But when it's supposed to stay in, and we're supposed to make it stay in, with what we're wanting to do, and we're still not doing it, we got to get that figured out. So keeping the ball inside on us, that's kind of what they want too. But I think we are much better when that's in there. Making sure the ball is not out on the perimeter on defense. And number 3, turnovers and penalties on offense. If we don't turn the football over and, don't have a lot of, we don't have any delay of games or false starts or any kind of, I can handle a holding call from here. I can handle that. I can handle an effort penalty from time to time sometimes. And a lot of times those things get missed by them and you get called for something that ain't right. So it's whatever. But just delay of games and false starts and all that kind of stuff. We've got to avoid any of the pre-snap penalties on offense. Don't get us behind the sticks. If we can stay on schedule, we'll be just fine.
Well, I was trying to pull up a picture, if I could, from Perry County. So I'm probably not going to have enough time to get that done. But the folks that travel with us, they need to come out to Perry County and make things happen. If they want to, they could probably wear their best baseball jersey instead of a football jersey because the grandstands are pretty much on second base at Perry County. So the baseball outfield is our football field where we're going to be playing.
Yeah,
So,
the story with all that is Perry County didn't get football until 1996 or 7, if I believe so correctly. And they've got a great history in basketball. Perry County was a force to be reckoned with in the 50s and 60s and 70s in basketball. And then they've had baseball, of course, a long time too. That's why the football field, they made modifications to the baseball field. But yeah, that's where they play football. We scrimmaged there a couple years ago. They'll have some bleachers there around shortstop and second base for our fans on the sideline. But we're playing on a baseball field. But it's whatever. It's grass. They'll be painted. There'll be white lines painted. It'll be 120 yards long. And
look at there. You've talked long enough that I was able to get it. So there's the picture right there, and you can see the sideline right there for the football field. But yeah, we're pretty much like you said, right at second base. The top row right there will be on the baseball field. So some people may want to, come donned in their baseball outfit or the baseball memorabilia and stuff right there and cheer on the football team. So from what I understand, there's only 3 high schools in the state of Tennessee that's like that. So it's going to be a unique experience. And I want to say a thank you real quick to Greg and Leslie Camper. They have donated a generator to our broadcast. So we're going to be right there with you, right on the sideline. I've got me a canopy that I'm fixing to go pick up at Walmart in the next couple of days, and a fresh white top canopy, and we're going to set up our stuff right there next to the grandstands, and probably put the generator about the shortstop area out there, and we'll be ready to broadcast. But hopefully everybody can come out there and make the trip to Perry County. If you can't, of course, we got the broadcast ready to rock and roll. But I feel like it's going to be a unique experience.
It
sitting
is
right there at the end of the baseball field.
It definitely is. I've been on it before for scrimmages and stuff. There's a couple, like you said, there's 3 in Tennessee. It's quite more often in Eastern Kentucky. I coached in Kentucky for a little bit. Murray High actually plays on their baseball field right up the road from us. They still play behind their middle school and on the high school baseball field. It's not near their high school. It's a kind of a strange thing. But, yeah, they play up there. And it's a little bit more common in some places where there's not as much flat ground. So you go to East Kentucky, there's a lot of places that their baseball field, doubles as their football field too.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. So, well, all right, fellas. If that's all we got for tonight, we appreciate the insight. Like I said,
yeah. One last thing. Middle school football, they're home this week. It's scheduled to be homecoming. Of course, with the impending rain, maybe they might move it back move the whole game to next week. We talked about that some today. I don't know if they've made a decision on that since I've, this afternoon been with our team in practice and stuff. I haven't heard, but middle school got a huge win last week. Got another chance to get a win this week. So hope everyone can come out. It's going to be at home at some point, either Thursday or next Tuesday. Their homecoming, and then our homecoming is next week. But we got youth league football going on. They got practice a lot of nights, and a lot of things going on at school. So
there's plenty of opportunities to support.
A lot of opportunity to come catch football. We got volleyball going on. Middle school softball going on. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So kids are, we've had good crowds. The kids really, enjoy looking up there and seeing, a rowdy crowd. I know our crowds have really been into it. Nick and Jackson have done a great job announcing, and it's been a really good environment. We've gotten a lot of compliments on that, and that's, that goes to the people, and that's been great. And we still got some home games to go, so it's hopefully we can, keep rocking and rolling, get some more wins, and wouldn't it be something to have a home playoff game, 2 years in a row? That would be awesome. Something definitely we're working towards, and something our kids, are working, strive to be, because you get to the playoffs, who we match up with, you got to go on the road, you got to drive a ways. So that's the issue with that. So anyway, but I just want to say, talk about the middle school for a second, and got other sports going on, and we got a lot of good things going on up there at West Carroll High School, well, junior and senior high school.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of opportunities for everybody to support in all of those areas. So go out and check out the home game for the junior high, whether it's this Thursday, like you said, or next Tuesday. And some people, make the trip to Perry County, make that happen. And like I said, if you're unable to make that long trip, you can tune in Hometown Grocery Daily pregame show at 6:30 and the kickoff at 7:00, and we'll bring it all to you right there from second base, and be ready to rock and roll. So we'll talk to everybody on Friday night. So if that's all y'all got, we'll call it a day.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Coach Dolan, once again, and Adam Welch. Very good insight and understanding. But like Coach Dolan said, y'all go support the junior high, and also go support the Perry County trip on Friday night. If not, check us out on War Eagle Radio Network. Hometown Grocery, the pregame show at 6:30 and the kickoff at 7:00. So on behalf of Adam Dolan, Adam Welch, I'm Jonathan Gowan, and we will talk to you on Friday night on the War Eagle Radio Network.